pesticide that can permanently damage kids' brains is going to be used on crops again in 2024. This is after a federal court reversed the EPA's 2021 ban on the chemical. It's called Chlorpyrifos, and on top of causing lowered IQ, loss of working memory, and attention deficit disorders in kids, it's also a risk to farm workers who come in contact with it every day. That's because it comes from a class of chemicals developed by the Nazis for warfare. The EPA even confirmed in 2016 that there aren't any safe uses for the pesticide. So why is it allowed to be sprayed on crops again, and why did it take so long for the EPA to ban it in the first place? At the end of 2023, the 8th Circuit Court said the EPA should consider that maybe foods could be sprayed with some chlorpyrifos instead of instituting a full ban, and sent it back to the EPA for review, putting kids and farm workers back at risk. The court was responding to a lawsuit filed by farm groups that wanted to continue using the pesticide. That's because before 2021, it was one of the most widely used pesticides, having been on the market since 1965. But it shouldn't have taken until 2021 for the EPA to ban it in the first place. Despite publicly recognizing the dangers of chlorpyrifos in 2016, in 2017, the EPA issued a ruling refusing to ban it, saying it wanted to continue studying the science. It's not the first time the EPA has failed to protect citizens from harmful pesticides. A 2019 study found there are 85 pesticides approved for agriculture in the US that are outlawed in other major agricultural countries. At the time of the study, the EU had banned or was phasing out 72 pesticides still used in the US. China had banned or was phasing out 11 pesticides still in the US, and Brazil, 17. For decades, the EU did what the US does and put the burden on government officials to prove a chemical poses a risk. But in 2007, the EU switched to a hazard-based approach, forcing companies to prove the safety of their products when there's evidence of a harmful ingredient. While it's not a perfect system, it has led to more restrictions of harmful chemicals in Europe. So why are these chemicals still legal in the US? Well, the EPA regulates chemicals one by one. In the case of chlorpyrifos, we saw it take years before the EPA took any action, allowing more harm to be done. And even the action the EPA did take wasn't thorough enough to convince the 8th Circuit judges of the risk chlorpyrifos poses in all amounts. The EPA also has a long history of employing scientists as regulators from the companies they are supposed to regulate. What do you think? Should the US change how chemicals are regulated?